15th edition Quantum AI Investors 537 on the S&P 500. Down marginally today. After hours, looks like we're down maybe 1% or so. So a lot of chatter in the market about tariffs. Still, we didn't break this 480 level really, so we kind of held that in the recent downturn. Then we had a giant spike up. Now we're kind of in no man's land. As I like to say, we're kind of in this middle of this band. So if we extend out, we see we're right in the middle of this band. So what I do expect is maybe we come down. Who knows? We retest this. But I would expect this wave 5 to happen. So this could extend either up to here, or it could extend all the way up to the top of the channel. So if it does, we would get a face ripping rally, which is what no one is expecting. And we would trade up to probably 650 on the S&P after this area of volatility. At which point I would say we would definitely see a test of this top trend line, and then there could be a correction which takes us retests here, and we'll see if we break. All right, so kind of my forecast is that we don't know how high this 5 is going to go. It could go up to here. We could have seen it maybe, or it could extend, but regardless of where the 5 goes, there's going to be some period of correction coming in S&P 500, and it's going to take us down to at least the 420 level, which is what we've been saying in this channel for a little while now. Some analysts, of course, are saying we're going down to 300 level. I think that's a little too bearish. I think we'll at minimum, in the worst case scenario, I think we're going to 350 on the S&P. My forecast is that we're going to 420 on the S&P. Just a matter of how long is this wave last, and what's the duration of the wave up, and when do we start the corrective wave, which is extremely hard to predict. Nobody really knows. So but once we break that trend line, I think we're going to go down pretty quickly. So then it does make sense to consider some short on the market, some inverse funds perhaps after we break this trend line right here. So the market kind of had a boring day today. Not a lot of movement overall in the overall market. So it's kind of a boring day, and not every day is exciting in the market. But this is what we had. So some tariff news, but there's a lot of tariff news. They got the 90-day delay, and then they're saying that there might be forever the tariffs, or they might repeal them later. Nobody knows. There's just a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion right now. And even with all that chaos and unknown, S&P is still holding up, which tells you corporate profits, even though they might get hit a little bit in this quarter, unlikely. Maybe it'd be Q2 or Q3, or even later, that the profits get hit. And if we do see a hit on corporate profits, that's when we'll see this wave 5 break, and we'll see in that quarter, whichever quarter that is, the S&P come down, retest, and see if it breaks down. So I don't expect Q1 or Q2 really to be affected. We're really looking at September or even later for the corporate profits to potentially be affected by tariffs. But a lot of it is unknown at this point in time. So that's my view on SPY. I was looking at a couple of other stocks. Here's a kind of a microcap company, MPAA, which is a motor. It's car parts of America. So yeah, a while ago I'd considered a trade on this. I didn't get in it, but I was considering it at actually around 5 or 6 at that time, and I did notice that it was in this kind of basing pattern here in between 5 and 6, which is a very low for this stock historically. We did see a bounce up, but recently this kind of descending triangle pattern, kind of this breakout failed, right? And we're right back into the channel, into this descending triangle, which makes me a little bit more bearish on the short term of this stock, because it couldn't hold up from this descending triangle. So I'm staying away from now, even though it's an American auto parts manufacturing. There was talk of moving auto parts manufacturing to Canada and to Mexico. So expect volatility here in the short term for MPAA. But I do like the stock in the 5 to 6 range. I like this stock, and we'll revisit, of course, if it falls into that range. Farm looks like it's still in the channel going down. Looks like we are close to all-time lows. One could theorize that it's a good buy here, but the thing is it failed to break out above. So we're keeping track of this one. It's on a watch list. Looks like there's a couple little gaps here. One at $2, maybe one at 3. So as long as we're in this trend downward, I think we're gonna remain in here, and we're not going to break out. So yeah, what I'd love to see is it break out above this trend line, maybe in the 3 range or something like that, because I do think it has some potential to go to 4 or 480 at some point. But right now it still looks like it's in a bearish trend. Let's check out Hain, which is another Hain Celestial. Yeah, it looks like the forecast for Hain is kind of in a basing pattern. Looks like it hit a new low today, so it's still bearish, huh? So yeah, we're still in this bearish pattern for Hain, but at some point, I think that we might see a breakout above as people get scared out of AI stocks and they want more traditional stocks in the market. We'll see potentially this one base. We want to see what happens with this downtrend. Does it continue downward or does it break out? So if it breaks out, we turn more bullish. If it continues in this channel, then just stay away until this move is exhausted. So yeah, I think it will. I mean, this is my opinion. We don't trade on my opinion, but we trade on the fact. But if that fact comes out, breaks out here, I think we are trading much higher in this one, potentially up to $16. In the best case scenario, maybe $30, but I don't think I'm gonna get that bullish on this one. I think maybe it'll trade up to 16 at the most if it breaks out of the channel. If it doesn't break out, then you're better off just kind of staying away. So let's just check it. China equities, go to tech is another one I usually watch. Looks like it's kind of in a basing pattern. We had this low recently, which kind of hit the previous high here as a support, bounced off pretty hard, and now we got a gap to fill at 383. So I think this one is not looks a bit noisy, but it's not looking too great on the chart. But I do expect at some point to go back to up to 383. Kind of bounces between 2 and 3 usually, this stock. So that's kind of my forecast on go to tech. One could postulate that this is a shoulder, that's a head, that's a shoulder, and we go down. Or one could also postulate that we're going to see some kind of action soon in this, because it looks like it's kind of a basing pattern, and there might be another shot up to potentially fill this gap here around 7 or 8, or even this bigger gap around 9. And there are super many gaps much higher. So there's that stock. Emergent looks like it got hit recently, like many stocks did in the IWM. Yeah, so it looks like this one, it looks like kind of this support kind of held recently. So we want to see follow through now. Does that come back up here, and are we going to have a little bit of follow through to show some strength, or is this going to break down and head into the locker room? So that remains to be seen. So we're just kind of watching this one. Just keep it on your watch list. It looks like there's some trend line here. If I had to guess, I would guess that we would head a little bit higher here in the short term, and we could even maybe head much higher and fill some gaps above. But we'll just keep this one on our watch list for now. And let's finish off with popular one, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA looks like we're in that bull flag pattern I mentioned before, potential head and shoulders, and it didn't break out of that bull flag pattern yet. So I want to see it break out to confirm the pattern, and then we're going to head higher temporarily. Since we're still in this kind of flag pattern, looks like we're kind of towards the top of that flag. Wouldn't shock me if we get a small move downward soon. So, and maybe retest the bottom of the flag again. So we'll see what happens with this one. But overall, I do expect there to be an implosion in NVIDIA. And I do expect it to retest much lower levels. Maybe the $50 zone or $60 zone to begin with. But eventually, this gap here at 32, I think is going to be filled. So with that, everybody have a great night. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, let the markets be with you. Take care. Good night.